Let me see your identification.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
You must be Igor.
You've got a real attitude problem.
Danger's my middle name.
Wait, let me explain something to you.
I am an FBI agent!
I know, man, isn't it wild?
Well, my mistake.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid? Why?
Are you shook up? Are you nervous?
Supernatural, perhaps.
Christ, look at that! God help us!
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
We'd like to get a sample of your brain tissue.
Okay.
Should I give him some medicine?
It's alive!
You know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
Welcome to Face the Real podcast that inspires and changes lives. Working as a stuntman and stunt coordinator in the motion picture and television world for over 27 years, I had the pleasure to meet and work with some amazing people. Actors, producers, directors, wardrobe, hair and makeup, fellow stunt performers, you name it. Here you get to hear some unbelievable stories from awesome people and their journeys through their lives, their struggles, and how they got to where they are today. Some of them funny, some of them sad, but never boring, and hopefully will help you to reach your goals, whatever they might be. I am Oliver Keller, and I'm excited to have you with me to face the real Brian Wade. Hey!
You!
Good to see you, man.
What's up, brother?
Well, just hanging in there, really. Just got the word regarding work that we're not going to be back shooting till September 14th, where at first it was supposed to be end of August. So you just take their word for it, right? We'll see how it goes.
That's crazy, man. Shooting where? Back in Cali?
Yeah, back in LA, shooting The Rookie, the TV show.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny about The Rookie? I guess not funny. It's just funny how worlds collide, man. So I did a pilot called Alligator Point.
Okay.
In 2000. What was it? It would have been 2009. Yeah, I did a pilot in 2009 called Alligator Point, and it was a reboot basically. So they tried to sell this pilot 2 years previously, and I had played I got the lead. I was the male lead for the pilot, but the male lead prior to that, in the first rendition of Alligator Point was your boy on The Rookie,
Nathan.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, we played the same role. So I have yet to work with him, man, but I've always really enjoyed him. I think he's freaking hilarious. Seems like a good dude.
Dude, he's one of the nicest guys I ever worked with.
Oh, I bet. He comes across that way.
He's so genuine, and
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, like every time we're in a transportation van from base camp to and from location set, he would always get out and then open the sliding door and help every single person out of the van. I mean, he's super cool. Really kind. Good guy.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So, dude, is this at your house in Georgia?
Yeah, this is one of our guest rooms.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Geneva, she said we need some LED lights, Dad. She calls them LED, so LEDs, So she designed it. And she came up with the name for the show too, Face the Real.
Yeah.
And it ended up being available on GoDaddy. We bought it on there as a domain, and now we can face the real Brian Wade,
Yeah, man. I like it. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn my GoPro on here. So it'll start recording. All right.
Yeah, well, so over 10 years, you and I worked together on a movie that we didn't even know each other yet at that time.
Yeah.
The Guardian, and that was doubling Ashton and some of the fight scenes.
Yeah.
And then years after that, I end up dating this lady that I then find out that you used to be married to and divorced from. And everything went sideways with me with that relationship, and you and I connected and ended up becoming friends, but that's, what, this whole thing is It's another story for a 5-hour podcast, right? So,
Minimum. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's funny how like we were just talking about, worlds colliding. Yeah, it's so strange that I never met you on The Guardian because, well, I mean, both Ashton and I did our own, I guess, fight stuff and the little fight scene that we did have. But like Brandon, Brandon Mullally.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. Like, it's just funny that we never even, got introduced to each other. But anyways, yeah, dude, and cut to, what really brought us together, which I'm actually very thankful for.
Yeah.
It was good for me to hear your story because it just, there's always a little piece in the back of your mind when something fails, especially if you're a type of individual who always wants to do things the right way, and especially in that case, do things once. There's always a piece, even though it was wrong and terrible and one should never happen, but it went sideways. There's always something in the back of your mind that tends to kind of creep up in where you almost continue to blame yourself a little bit, or you beat yourself up for it a little bit, just over maybe how you reacted in certain situations. And anyways, man, it was nice for me to hear your story and what you went through, because it kind of took that voice away from me. Knowing that, okay, it wasn't just me. It was this has happened before me. It's happened after me. How I saw the situation is exactly, I saw it the exact right way. So it was good, man. I'm really super thankful that you reached out and that we were able to connect over, a terrible subject, obviously, but it was good for me, man. And I'm glad that I got to meet you, because you're a super solid dude. So
that's very kind of you. And I felt the exact same way. It's this. You described it really, really well. It's this thing inside of you that tells you a little bit, oh, it probably was your fault. Maybe if you would have done that different.
Yeah.
On, and you just beat yourself up over that. And it's nice to get an affirmation, like you described, and
right.
Oh, okay, so it was not just me, it was.
Right.
So yeah, I get it. Sometimes we go through life and we have to go through pain and discomfort, and it just doesn't make sense at that time.
Right.
Then later on, you look back at it and it's clear as daylight. Oh my gosh, and hopefully you're going to be a little smarter, and you're going to continue to grow and work on yourself and so on. But it's funny how God puts people together, I would say, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I fully believe that. I fully believe that that God works all things for our good. Romans 8:28, and that if we're seeking His will and trying to stay in the Word, that you kind of see all of life from that perspective, and it's great. It's a great way to view it. So yeah, I fully believe that we were meant to meet and talk to each other and help each other out, man, in many ways. So
yeah, I agree. So tell us your path. Tell us your story. Where are you from? What? Probably not that story.
Yeah.
Just go back. You seem like you always follow your passion. I mean, you're known as, you acted quite a bit. I mean, you've done lots of projects. You were a fitness instructor at some point, right?
Yeah.
Then you now started your own business at Custom Harleys.
Yes. Yeah, man. So what's funny is, growing up, my parents got divorced when I was 5. And I'll kind of walk through this whole, part of it that far back as quickly as I can. But it really sets the stage, I guess, for who I am today. So my parents divorced when I was 5. My mom then found herself a single mom of 2. in a situation that, for the most part, my real father made it really hard on her for a couple of years, to the point where she just didn't feel safe in our little one-room apartment that we lived in, which, when I say one room, that's exactly what it was. And I have very vivid memories still to this day. I'm 42 of, as a 5-year-old, being terrified of where we were living, because we lived in the ghetto, in the slums, and it was all my mom could afford. But that one room, whenever the couch bed was open that all 3 of us slept on, you couldn't open the front door.
Wow.
And we washed our dishes in the bathroom tub because we didn't have a dishwasher or a real sink. It was like a little kitchenette. So 3 of us eating, we washed our dishes in the bathtub. So I still have very vivid memories of that. So still to this day, like whenever I go into real poverty-stricken areas or just end up in an area that's not great, I have flashbacks, man, and it makes me uneasy. It makes me uncomfortable. Makes me want to help. So anyways, but during that time of my mom feeling very unsafe and unaware of her surroundings and what my dad at that time was going to do to her, she took us to movies a lot. And we ended up being in movie houses for 2 or 3 movies at a time. I mean, we were the original movie hoppers, 5 years old. So, and at the time, my mom has always done a really great job of, especially when we were kids, shielding us from all of that. And we had no idea why we were at the movies for 6 hours, but me and my sister just loved it because we just got to watch movies. She always kept it real upbeat and fun, and not knowing, at that time that she was just terrified and scared to walk outside the theater doors. So, film to me, it started at a very young age, but it started out as just a way to escape my reality. I had no idea that it was a real job. I just thought it was completely make-believe, and it was just a way for me to not think about being scared of where I lived, being scared of walking out of my front door, being trapped in a one-room apartment when the bed was open. If something were to happen, we couldn't get out, kind of thing. And so anyways, that carried all the way through. My mom, since we married, we moved down to Florida. So I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. And that was just something we kind of continued to do as a family growing up. We just went to movies a lot. And I think it was, there were 5 of us. My mom married my stepfather, who had a couple of kids of his own, and then they had a child together. So it was me and 4 younger sisters. So it was just a way for my mom to keep us doing something. And so we would go to a movie a couple times a week, or at least once a week. And then in college, so I went to Clemson University. And I walked on at Clemson as a football player, and did that for a little bit, and ended up making the team there. Did that for a while, ended up getting injured, couldn't play anymore. And there was a dollar theater at Clemson. So I went to movies 2-3 times a week, and it was really just for me to take a break from studying. I'll be the first to admit that college was super hard for me. I had to study a lot to make good grades and to pass. And so it was just something that I did for a break for myself, and it was $1 because I was also a broke college student. So I watched a lot of movies in college. But even at that point, I never thought about it as a real job. I was just using it as an escape. And so my senior year kind of happened, and I was just a student at that point. And I ended up meeting a modeling agent in the airport over a Thanksgiving holiday flying home. And he was out of New York. So I ended up flying up to New York quite a bit during my senior year, doing a lot of fitness modeling. And then when I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I had a bachelor's of science in health science with a minor in exercise physiology, another minor in anatomy and kinesiology. And I always knew from a very young age that I didn't want to go sit at a desk. I was way too active. It never made sense to me to sit in a cubicle and work for someone else. So when I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so I kind of had this little modeling thing going on the side, which I didn't really enjoy. It was just, I was like, oh, well, I have an agent. I've been working a little bit, so I'll just move to New York. I mean, I love New York City. I'd been there once before, or I'd been there many times before during my senior year. So I said, crap, I'll move to New York and see what happens. So I graduated, moved to New York, and this was like 3 months prior to 9/11.
Oh, no way.
So it was a terrible time to live in the city. Everyone was pretty, obviously the whole country was in chaos, but especially New York City was very depressed, very dark. And at the same time, so here I am doing this fitness modeling thing, which I realize trying to make a living at. It was great spending money as a college student, but trying to make a living and pay for an adult life in a city like New York, it was impossible. Fitness modeling just doesn't pay the bills. It's not like high fashion modeling. So here I was, broke as hell, busting my tail, going to fitness castings, which I couldn't stand modeling anyway, and then catering all night, living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 other dudes.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so it was just like, I was there like 6 months, at the 6-month mark. And I was sitting around one night and I was like, this is just brutal. Like, what am I doing with I got a college degree. Maybe I should go work at the CDC or whatever. I don't know. Well, I was sitting around the apartment one night and one of the guys I was living with just happened to be a high fashion model. And he was killing it, like on the cover of Vogue and doing runway shows and just making all this money. And I was just like, dang, that's crazy. Well, he was about to leave to go to an acting for commercials workshop. So he's about to walk out the door. He's like, Brian, what are you doing tonight? And I'm like, nothing, man. I got nothing going on. He's like, why don't you come with me? Just come with me to this acting for commercials workshop. And I was like, all right, I have nothing else to do. So I went with him. And like I said, it's just a simple acting for commercials workshop. And but it was on camera. So I participated that night, and this is 2001. So I participated, and that's when the light bulb went on. I was like, dude, this is a real job. Like, real people do this. This isn't just like what I'm seeing on screen, right? So that was it, man. I did that one acting for commercials workshop that weekend, that very weekend. It was in December. I packed up everything I had, which wasn't much. I put it in my 1996 Kia Sophia, which I barely fit in, and drove back home to Florida. And basically I decided at that point I'm moving to LA, and had never even been to LA. Never been in an acting class, never done anything. And I was like, I'm moving to LA. I'm going to try this acting thing. And anyway, so in my time in New York, I had met an acting manager by the name of John Simmons. And I met him at a scouting event. And he had brought a few clients with him to New York, one of which was Chad Michael Murray. And at the time, Chad was huge from coming off of Dawson's Creek and Gilmore Girls. And so I recognized him, and I was like, wow, obviously this guy's legit. And so I introduced myself at this modeling event where I met him, or a scouting event, and he basically blew me off. You know, he was like, you're too big. At that time, I was 240 pounds, just graduated college, big dude. He was like, no, you're too big. You'll never work. You'll be a bouncer. That's it. You played football. You'll have no emotional availability. Basically not interested, right? It blew me off that night. So I was like, okay, but I got his card, okay? So anyway, so I moved back home. This is December 2001. I call him. Hey, John, I don't know if you remember me. My name is Brian Wade. I met you in New York. Oh, yeah, I remember you. You're the big football player. Yeah, that's right. Listen, I'm thinking about moving to LA. I just wanted to know your thoughts, and if I do come out, could I study with you? So John was very unique, and I think ahead of his curve at that time. He was a manager who obviously was an actor at some point and did some work, but became a manager. And but he bought a studio and started giving acting lessons as well. But if you were a client of his, you got free lessons. So you could come to class anytime for free. So anyways, I asked him, I said, hey, I'm thinking about moving out. Is there any way that I could come and study with you? I really don't know what I'm doing, but I really want to learn. Like, this is, super interesting to me. And he was like, look, Brian, I told you in New York, like, I don't think you have what it takes. Doesn't know me at all, right? So I said, okay, all right. So we hung up the phone. And for the next 2 weeks, brother, it was either a phone call or an email that I sent him. And I just hounded him. And finally, about 2 weeks in, I remember him picking up the phone and just exasperated as hell. He was like, Brian, if you come to LA, or put a monologue on video and send it to me. And if I see anything, I'll call you. And that was it.
Wow.
So that was all I needed to hear, dude. So I went down to my dad's basement office where he worked. He worked from home. And I sat up his big camcorder. 2001 was still full cassette tapes. And so I set that up, and I was like, man, monologue. I don't even know what a monologue really looks like, what a good one is, what a good one isn't. I was like, I know movies and I know what I like. And he tells me that I'm not going to have any emotional availability. So I need to find something that's emotional or current. So I fell in love with this movie called The Family Man.
Okay.
This movie with Nicolas Cage.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, man. You got to see it, bro. So it's Nicolas Cage and Tay Leone, okay? And it's this beautifully written film about this super wealthy Wall Street guy, Nicolas Cage's character, who early in life, in college, knew the path that he wanted to go. His college girlfriend was Tay Leone. And at a split in the road, he chose to basically end his relationship with her and choose, I'm going to be this high-powered exec, right? A Wall Street guy. So the start of the movie is him like in his big lifestyle, big penthouse above the city, hooking up with all these different girls. And then he gets this glimpse from this encounter with Don Cheadle, who happens to be an angel. But at the time, he's dressed as a thug. And he's sent to Earth to help people see what's really important. So he has this encounter with Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage says some really audacious, kind of cocky things. And Don Cheadle basically puts him in this alternate life, this alternate universe of which was, had he gone that other way, married Tay Leone, become a family man, had more of a normal life, what would that look like?
Okay.
And at first he fights it tooth and nail, hates it. So he wakes up one morning in this alternate universe. Wakes up, Tay Leone's in bed with him. The house dog's licking his face, and two kids come running into his bed, and he's like, what is this? Jumps up, freaks out. Anyways, it's a brilliantly written movie, and it got way undervalued. So he goes through this life, and he can't get out of this glimpse until he realizes what's really important in life. So he goes in this glimpse forever, this alternate life. And then he finally understands it. And then he starts to really enjoy that life, his kids, his wife. So he then wakes up one morning and he's back in his original life, waking up alone in a giant penthouse with his Ferraris, no friends, no family. And it just dawns on him like, this is not what I want. So he tracks down Tay Leone current times. Anyways, whole scene, long story short, he chases her down in an airport. She hasn't seen him in 25 years. And he basically, as she's about to get on a plane and exit his life forever, he has this really long monologue of this whole glimpse that he's just lived. And he's tearing up and crying a little bit and breaking down. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful monologue. So I did that. I put that monologue on tape, showed it to my family before I sent it off. And they're like, oh yeah, it's great. Especially, like good parents do. So I sent it to John, and about 2 weeks later, man, I remember it was the beginning of January. It was after the holidays. He called me and he said, "Look, Brian, I got your monologue. It was really good. If you decide to come out, let me know, and I'll let you come and take class with me." Meaning I was going to pay him, but there was that door. So that was it, man. A couple weeks later, I packed up that same Kia Sophia with all of my clothes and stuff, and I had $200 cash to my name, and 35 grand in student loan debt, and a few thousand other dollars in credit card debt. And man, my mom packed me a cooler full of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and waters because I couldn't afford to stop for food or a hotel. And I took off, dude. It took me 2.5 days to drive to LA. I slept in my car both nights, rolled into town on a Monday afternoon, and started applying for jobs right away. And I got a job Tuesday afternoon at Tony Roma's on La Cienega Boulevard, which is no longer there. And dude, just started working right away. But that Tuesday night, second day in LA, was in my first acting class with John Simmons.
Unbelievable.
I put that month's acting classes on a credit card. And so anyways, first 2 weeks I was there, man. I slept in my car at a Flying J truck stop about 40 minutes outside of LA, and showered there, did my laundry there, drove into town every day to work and take class. And then a friend of a friend, an acquaintance, offered me her couch for about 3 weeks until I had enough money, which was $600, to rent my own room in a 2-bedroom apartment. The guy was renting his guest room out, and it was right at the bottom of Runyon Canyon. Super cool setup to land. But so anyways, bro, I just started working from there. And month 2 of paying for class, at the end of that month, I did a comedy scene. And I remember at the end of class, at the end of that second month, John came up to me and he said, "Listen, I see how hard you're working. You're killing it in here. So I want to take you on as a client." Which, it was twofold. It was, at that time, meant that I had a manager now, and things were starting to be real. But also, it just meant I didn't have to pay for class anymore, which at the time, man, was literally taking every dime that I had. And I mean, I remember days where I'd eat 1 meal a day. And I had, at the time, my sister was an airline pilot for Southwest Airlines, and she had a layover in LAX. And this was like 6 weeks after me moving to LA. And she was going to have a layover, which meant she got a free hotel room. So she called me, and I was like, "Yeah, definitely want to see you, hang out." I said, is there any food that you can bring me from the plane?
Wow.
Because I think I maybe had breakfast that day or something. So she brought a bunch of stuff from the plane, so anyways, that day where John took me on as a client just meant kind of a shift in my life at that moment. And then I had someone working for me. You know, I had someone submitting me for auditions. He lined me up to audition for some agents, which I ended up being signed with Don Buchwald a month after that. That was my first agency. And then I got Bring It On again 6 months later, my first job.
Wow, dude, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and from there, you know, started to steadily work. And at the same time I was working at Tony Roma's, I joined Gold's Gym in Hollywood on Cole. And I started my personal training business out of there because I'd done that in college, and that's what my degree was in. And so after about a month of doing both, I had a big enough client roster where I could finally quit serving tables and just train full time. So that's what I did, man, while I was hustling. And I did that for the first 8 years I was there. You know, I was training from 5 a.m. till 9 or 10 p.m. and trying to audition in the middle and, you know, moving clients around, also taking classes. So I took classes with John Simmons for 2 full years. And then I went to the Actor Circle Theater for another 2.5 years and studied with Arthur Mendoza, who's Stella Adler's protege. And then did some plays there. And then I got The Guardian. And that really kind of helped catapult things from The Guardian, man. One of the cool things about The Guardian was working with Kevin Costner and getting to just see how someone who was a bona fide celebrity for 25 plus years at that point, how you can really handle yourself and be a real inspiration for other actors, especially young actors like me. And on that same set, I also got to meet Neil McDonough. And Neil and I, you remember Neil?
I don't think so.
So Neil played, forget the character's name in The Guardian, but I mean, Neil's from Band of Brothers, ever blonde hair, piercing blue eyes.
Okay.
Minority Report. So, I mean, he's done a million movies. So I got to meet Neil and we became really close. And Neil told me on the set of The Guardian, he said, Brian, you, for a big guy, it always seemed to come back with it. You do really well. I'm like, hey, I see that you're passionate about it. You're studying and you're around the set even when you're not working. And he said, look, I'm really close with HBO and they're working on a new series now called Generation Kill. And they're going to shoot it in Africa for 6 months. And he said, I think you'd be great for it. And this was in, whatever we shot The Guardian, 2006 or 7.
Yeah.
And I said, man, that sounds awesome. I'm going to have my team get on it right away. So I call them. I get back from shooting The Guardian, end up having an audition for Generation Kill. Went really well. And then I didn't hear anything. It's like it just, nothing, vanished. So I just thought, all right, well, didn't get that. That sucks. That's it. 9 months later, I get a call from my manager at the time. Brian, guess what's back and coming back around? It's like Generation Kill. It's like they got it on track now. David Simon and Ed Burns from The Wire took it over, and HBO is fully on board, and they're moving ahead. And they want to see you, whenever, next week or whatever, to audition again. And so went into audition, and I was the first person cast on that. And that's what really changed the trajectory of my career at that point, man. I got to go to Africa. We lived there for 6 months. And that changed my life in a whole different perspective, not just from an acting perspective, but it was the first time in my entire adult life that I was debt-free. I got to pay off all my bills, student loans, everything, and I had a lot of cash in the bank. So it meant when I came back home that I didn't have to train and bust my tail so much. And that if I got an audition, I could really prepare and get good sleep and be ready for it and just focus on that.
Dangling. It's not an emergency, ma'am. It's a verbal alarm. You walked into our space, let us know about it, so we'll send someone with you. We just got to get the best.
Okay, well, should you be walking faster? Because I don't know if you heard me, but my friend is stuck in a fire escape.
Newbie, we got a live one for you.
So who are you sending me with?
Lieutenant Newbie, one of our best.
Over here.
Careful. What happened?
I don't know. This tiny wave came at us. I let it go. He screamed like a girl and fell off his board.
I had to give him mouth to mouth, and he swallowed a lot of water. He's gonna be okay? I think so. He tried slipping me the tongue.
Can you hear me? What?
I think he's trying to say shark.
Hi. Hello. I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the one who pulled you out of the ocean the other day. Oh, right. Thanks. It's okay. It's my job. Well, I'm glad you did it. Anyway, I was just checking in on you, see how you're doing. I'm doing fine. Good. So, you want to walk down to the pier? Maybe grab a cup of coffee? Gee, I don't know.
Charlie, it's time to change my butt dressing.
What the hell? Let's go.
Okay. Private David Singer?
Yeah.
NCIS? Why don't you take a break? Maybe take a shower. I hear that you and Lance Corporal Corby had a falling out in Kandahar.
And Corby showed me the ropes. We had some laughs at first, but things aren't so funny in Afghanistan, and I told him as much. That's all.
Well, not quite all. Corby's dead. Where were you 2 nights ago?
In Norfolk, visiting a friend.
Does his friend live on a street corner and deal pharmaceuticals out of a paper bag by any chance?
Not on the juice, if that's what you're implying. It's all natural. Don't let it scare you.
Alibi have a name? Those things on the side of your head work? Man asked you a question. Although short-term memory loss and shrunken testicles are...
You ever been shot at?
Once or twice?
People were getting blown up over there and Corby saran wrapping guys into their cots.
What's your point?
Some of us didn't appreciate it. These stupid pranks. But none of us killed him. No one would have taken it that far.
Yeah? How far did it go?
Chris Norton, high school buddy. That's who I was with the other night.
So Generation Kill is a big turning point for me, man. And then from there, things just kind of kept coming in, and got Generation Kill. Then I got Alligator Point, which didn't end up getting picked up, but it was another, big get where, thousands of other dudes in the industry wanted that lead role for that pilot. And it was basically Cheers set in an oyster bar. Kelsey Grammer directed it. Sybil Shepherd played my mother-in-law. Robin Lively was my ex-wife. I mean, it's a great cast, phenomenal script. So anyways, so then just kept working from there, man. And then took a bit of a hiatus after I made some bad decisions, which we had previously talked about on this.
Okay. Right.
Meeting my now, well, long ago now ex-wife, but I kind of stepped out of the business for a while when I moved back to Florida to kind of transition into that, and we were away from LA for a while, so it kind of set me back a bit. But anyways, got back on track a few years later, just steadily working now, dude. But a journeyman, hustler, and now with COVID kind of shutting down and no hope of auditions coming right now, I've always been of the mindset that I don't want to ever be in a position where I have to work for somebody in a cubicle. It's just always been such a big fear of mine. And so even as I was acting, man, I've always done other things to kind of bulletproof me from the industry. I am a small percentage owner of a fitness product that I've been selling on QVC for over 8 years. I've also helped start other companies, and now I have a custom Harley Davidson dealership that I've partnered with Rusty Wallace on, who is NASCAR Hall of Fame champion down here in Mooresville, North Carolina, Race City, USA. And so we're building custom $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 Harleys, and doing that as well. So and I'm still not working in a cubicle. Well, my own, it is kind of a cubicle, but it's my own cubicle.
What's your company called, and what's the website called so people can go check it out?
Yeah, man. So the motorcycle shop is Southern Country Customs, and you can follow us on Instagram at Southern Country Customs, and the same on Facebook. Our website as well, southerncountrycustoms.com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Put a link in the description as well. Wow, what a journey, dude. But it just shows that persistency is the key. You hounded that guy down, and you didn't give up on your dreams, and you did create an income, with the personal trainer job on the side. How did you create your clientele? I mean, you always just stick out. You're tall, you're in amazing shape. People on through that, I assume.
Yeah, well, so I knew that I knew if I was going to make, so I go back to when I first moved here. I waited tables through college as well to kind of pay my way through. So I knew I could make money doing that. But I didn't want to move out to LA because, you know, before you move out to LA, of course, I talked to a lot of people and everyone, you know, it's the same story. Like, oh, it's impossible and you're going to be broke and LA's so expensive and you're going to live on ramen noodles. And dude, I like to live a big life. I like to do fun things. I like to travel. I like to go boating, you know. So I knew that as an adult, I didn't want to be a broke down actor living in a 1-bedroom stank hole forever. So I knew if there was a place in our country where I could make really good money doing something that I actually do love, which is health and fitness and personal training, it was LA. So when I moved there, I kind of talked to a bunch of people, you know, in Hollywood about, hey, where does everyone work out? Like, where's the hot gym? Like, where, you know, and it was Gold's Gym Hollywood on Cole Avenue, right next to a famous dance studio called The Edge.
Okay.
Right. So this is a real hot street, and just Hollywood Gold's was the place, with the exception of Hollywood or Gold's Gym Venice. So I lived very close to Gold's in Hollywood. So I got hired on there as a Gold's Gym trainer. So I signed up to become a member.
Okay.
Just because I needed a place to work out, and then I saw that they had their own trainers. I was like, oh, this is great. I've got my certification. I've got a degree. So they hired me as a personal trainer right away. So they filtered me clients, like new members that would come in. They would sell packages off of me, but they would charge, you know, $1,000 for 10 sessions, and I would get paid 20.
Right.
Right. Or 25. So they would keep the majority of it. But when I first started, I was like, this is fine. They're getting me the clients. I don't know anybody. Well, you know, 3 months into that, packages are starting to come up for renewal. I'm meeting a bunch of people in the gym. I'm meeting other dudes that are coming in, other girls that are coming in, wanting trainers. And at that time, Gold's Hollywood also allowed independent trainers to come in, and you could pay the gym a flat fee every month, and then you train as many people as you want. And at the time, it was $500 a month. So you pay them $500. You could train as many people as you want and charge whatever you want, and you keep it. Wow. Right? So you could run your own business out of there. So I worked for Gold's for about 4 or 5 months, and then I start seeing these other independent trainers, and I'm starting to become friends with them and buddies with them, and I'm asking them what they're making, and I'm like, dang, they're crushing it, and I'm sitting here getting paid freaking pennies doing the same thing. So I was actually the first one out of all the Gold's trainers. I went to the owner of that gym, and I said, look, dude, I want to become an independent, and they told me, no, you can't. You're a Gold's trainer. We're not gonna allow you to. You've already been a Gold's trainer. We've given you clients. We've sold all these packages off of you. That's it. You work for us. So I was like, that's bullcrap.
Right.
Why do all these other guys get to do it, and you're telling me I can't? And so I raised a big stink, and basically they said, look, we'll allow you to become a Gold's trainer, but you have to finish out your packages with all of your clients that are ours, and then you can't come back into the gym for 3 months. You have to stay out for 3 months. They're basically trying to force me to stay working for them.
Right, right.
So I said, fine. I'll finish out all their packages, and then I'll stay out of the gym. So I finished up all their packages, which I wasn't making any more money on. And then I needed to find another gym to go train them at the 3 months that I wasn't allowed to be in that gym. So at the time, it was called Todd Tramp's. You remember this gym?
No.
When did you move to LA?
2000.
Okay, so it was around. So Todd Tramp's was on La Cienega Boulevard in Santa Monica.
Okay. I used to live in Valley, so we used to go to work out in Encino or in Burbank.
Okay. So a couple years down the road, that name changed over to just Train. It just say Train on the building. But anyway, so it was an independent gym. Anyone could go in if you were a trainer, pay a flat fee either per client or per month, and train your clients. So that's what I did for 3 months, man. I finished out all their packages, and then friggin' went back to Gold's, paid them my $500, and started training people on my own there. So I was an independent trainer there, and that's how the ball got rolling. And from there, once I became independent, I actually started picking up a few celebrity clients, one of my first was Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, wow.
So I trained Lawrence for about 2 years. And then I also started training his wife, Gina Torres, now ex-wife, but I trained both of them for about 2 years. And it was so cool how that happened, man, because Lawrence gave me one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in the industry. And he told me, he said, Brian, look, two pieces of advice, really. He said, it's not always the most talented people that work. It's the ones that stick around. It's the ones that don't quit. It's the ones that keep pushing through all this bull crap we call LA. And to me, man, it just spoke volumes. And then he also gave me another great piece of advice. He said, when you start working and you're on set, just remember this, because at that point I hadn't really done much, I think, except, a couple small things. And he said, they pay you to wait around, the acting's for free.
Wow.
And, that never rang more true once you start getting on big sets and, your call time's 5 and you're not on set till noon. You're just sitting in your trailer, whatever, so, and you hear actors all the time, man, I can't believe they called me in. I had this to do with that, and I'm sitting here now. And I just always kind of chuckled. I'm like, dude, you're doing one of the you're doing something that everybody in the world would love to do, whether they admit to it or not. There's so many people that would love to be in your position waiting on a film set.
Yeah, I don't get the complaining, man. It's just, been in this industry now for 28 years, and most people are pretty happy and cool, but there's people that complain, that have an amazing job. They get paid amazing money for what we do,
Yeah.
It's insane. It's crazy. How did you get in touch with Lawrence Fishburne?
My acting coach, Arthur Mendoza, at the time, they were best friends.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they were best friends. So it was funny, man, because for some reason, once you start becoming friends with people, even if it's a manager, an agent, whatever, and they find out that you're also a trainer, they want to start training with you inevitably. So I end up training everybody, and everybody becomes a client at some point. But yeah, so I started taking classes with Arthur, and then it wasn't long after that he started paying me to train him as well. And then he was getting great results really quick. Lawrence asked him, what he was doing. So yeah, he introduced me, and that was that, man. What's funny about Lawrence's scenario is, though, so I trained him, like I said, almost 2 years, somewhere in that ballpark. And he was always really, really great with me from an acting standpoint. The fact that he never made me feel like I wasn't going to make it, or that I was silly for trying. He always really encouraged it. But in our journey of that 2 years, I did start working. And I started, it was always this balancing act of me shifting my clients around when I was working to fit my shoot schedule, because I didn't want to lose them, because I knew as soon as I got done working, I didn't know when the next job would come. So I needed to go right back to training. Mm-hmm. And just kind of sock money away. And so anyways, I start working a little bit, and I'm still training Lawrence, I'm still training Gina. And I had to move him around a couple times, and he fired me. Yeah, and it wasn't like, you're pissing me. It wasn't like that. He's like, look, Brian, I'm super proud of you. I love that you're working. He's like, but I'm an actor. I'm a big actor, and I need my trainer to be here when he tells me he's going to be here. Like, if you get a job for a month and you're gone, like I can't have, like, I need someone here. And I was like, dude, I get it. I understand. But that was it. That, once I started working, which he was instrumental in, our relationship kind of ended. But every now and then when I see him or run into a buddy that's working with him, he'll always say hi, and we'll catch up real quick. Or he'll tell my buddy, hey, tell B Wade I said hi. Hope he's doing well, So
That's awesome, dude. Very cool. Any other actors that you trained?
Yeah. So, shoot, I'm brain farting on her name now. She was a big hit in like, Rachel, I can't remember her last name now, man. Kip Pardue. He was Sunshine in Remember the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Trained him for a while, and at the time he was dating Rachel. I'm brain farting on her last name now. Anyways, who else? Chad Michael Murray, trained for a long time. JD Pardo, and a few others. But Lawrence was probably the biggest name other than Chad at that time. And then, like I said, after Generation Kill, man, that was kind of it. I didn't need to train anymore. I kept a few clients, 2 clients that were just really good mentors / friends that wanted to continue to train, and I just wanted to continue to have a set schedule where I got to see them. So I kept training them, one of which, his name is Mark Gunsky. He owns Aroma Cafe on Tahunga Boulevard in the Valley.
Yeah.
You know Aroma?
Yep.
Yeah. So he was actually one of the very first clients I ever picked up. So I trained Mark for 15 years. He was like a father figure to me, man. He helped me out tremendously, not just the advice, but financially too. It was amazing, man. Like when I look back on my journey, I'm just like, God, thank you so much for putting people in my life that really, if anyone says, at least from my experience, that they're, a one-man show or they're self-made, I just have a really hard time believing it, because it really does take so many people who believe in you or have the same vision for you to come alongside you and help you out. And I swear, if it wasn't for Mark, especially, I don't know that I would have made it in LA, because, like I said, he was one of the first clients I picked up. And when we started training, I'd only been training him for about 2 months, and my birthday rolled around, which is in June. And he came in with a birthday card, and it was just, simple happy birthday, with a gift card to Aroma. And I had never been there at that point, because I lived in Hollywood. I didn't even know anything about the Valley. And I was like, oh, great, thank you so much. And he gave me a $100 gift card. And I was like, wow, $100 is awesome. So I ended up taking my best friend at the time, a girlfriend, and another buddy of mine. And we go over there for breakfast. And I spent the whole $100 buying everyone breakfast, but it was great. Like, I fell in love with Aroma. Couldn't thank Mark enough. And then that next week, we start training again, and we're just doing our normal routine. And he comes back in and he hands me the gift card, just the gift card, no card, just the gift card. And he goes, "Look, I see how hard you work, and I know what you're trying to do." And he said, "I don't want you to ever worry about a meal in LA. Here's $100, and when that runs out, you let the manager at the time, her name was Catherine, he said, you let Catherine or myself know, and I'll refill it."
Unbelievable. What a blessing.
Dude, still to this day,
unreal. Yeah.
17 years later, man, 18 years later, I still have the same gift card. I don't know how much is on it now, because I haven't been in 6 months or more, but still to this day, I've never paid for a meal at Aroma. And that dude, he extended that to my family. Whenever they would come out to visit, he would set a table aside for us. He'd buy my whole family breakfast, lunch, or whatever it was. My baby sister Julie, who had some severe physical problems from a genetic disease, had a lot of her major reconstructive surgeries at the Children's Hospital in LA. So she would spend several months after 3 of these surgeries living in LA at the Ronald McDonald House with my parents to go through rehab and get well. And my parents and her probably ate at Aroma daily, and he never once charged them.
Wow, what an amazing human being! What a blessing that you had have him in your life. Is he still around?
Oh yeah, still owns Aroma.
Yep.
And he still owns Aroma, and his partner Tom Trellis, about I would say 10 years after Mark started Aroma, Mark, his partner, started Alcove in the Valley. It's over in Los Feliz.
What's it called?
Alcove.
Okay.
And it's basically the exact kind of same template as Aroma. And Tom's kind of taking it even a step further. He made it, he put a bar in there called Little Bar, and it's kind of a Los Feliz like hotspot. And so yeah, they do very, very well, and they both own them. And I think one of the reasons Mark connected with me so much and wanted to help was Mark was kind of a lost, didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. And granted, he was much older. He was in his 40s when he started Aroma, but he was a shoe salesman on Rodeo Drive, and was like, man, what am I doing with my life? Well, he started Aroma at that spot, same spot he's in now, started Aroma with a $15,000 loan from his father. And when he first opened, it was just coffee and a few pastries. And he didn't even know how to make espresso. He didn't know how to use the espresso machine. So it's gone from that $15,000, little shop to what it is today, which is, $3.5 million plus coffee house.
Right. Yeah, it's a hot spot for sure. People stand in line out. I mean,
oh, dude, if you live around Aroma, it's in the listing of your home if you go to sell it. Within walking distance to Aroma, it's like a selling point. Like that's how embedded Aroma is into that neighborhood.
Wow. Yeah, I remember going there the first time with Joe Manganello. Been him for years, and he loves that spot. And at that point, he lived over in Hollywood, and we drove all the way over the hills to go that spot. And it's beautiful. It's great. I ended up taking my daughter there for breakfast. And
yeah, no, it is great. And I think one of the reasons so many celebrities like Joe like going there is Mark, one, doesn't have Wi-Fi, and two, it's very private, and he doesn't allow paparazzi to come back there and just film. He's very protected about that. So I think a lot of celebrities go there and just hang out, eat scripts, do whatever. And I think that's part of the reason. But it's also just a great vibe there, man. The energy's awesome. The food is phenomenal. So it's all of it. And Mark he just does a phenomenal job with that, dude. He's a great human, and his personality and energy kind of exudes through that whole place. So yeah, I say all that to say, man, I can never say that anything I've done in Los Angeles was because of just my hard work and effort. It's definitely so many great people came along beside me and helped me and encouraged me and financially helped me. I mean, all kind of things. So a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel you, because I was in a similar situation. I moved from Switzerland with 2 duffel bags and $2,000 in my pocket and didn't know anybody. Same thing, right? And then you just meet the right people that believe in you, that keep prepping you up. And because I mean, you explained it. You got no's before you even got to LA.
Right.
You're not gonna make it before you even arrived, and LA will eat you up. I mean, unless you're strong and you have good values and good people around you, it can be a tough spot for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, for sure. And it's I think the most oppressive part of it is, if you are truly wanting to become an actor or a stuntman or a behind the camera guy, an AD, a director, whatever it is in the industry, any aspect of the industry to get into is hard. And it takes persistence, it takes tough skin, it takes an undeniable type of work ethic to really become, to stay and to take it seriously enough to make it a living. And I get asked often, like, man, is there anything that you could offer advice-wise to I really want to move to LA, but I don't want to go out there until maybe I have something lined up. And and I just tell people all the time, I'm like, just stay. Just go. You got to go. You just got to stick it out. You just got to stay. If this is what you want to do, realize that it's going to be hard, that there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road and a lot of no's. But if you're there to sincerely learn what you're doing and want to be good at it, and you keep grinding for that, you're not out partying and you're not out doing the scene, your time will come. And then hopefully when that time does come, you'll have been prepared, and then you'll be ready to capitalize on that moment.
Right.
And it won't be just a flash in the pan. It'll be something that you can build on, because people realize that you're professional. They realize that you've come prepared. They realize that you're taking this seriously, and people want to work with that. And there's always the bull crap and the red tape and the bureaucracy, especially now with social media, that is just inevitable, and becoming a name. And I'm sure it's the same in your industry, man. Once you develop a certain name, it doesn't matter at that point. Like you either have a good name or a bad name, but if you're a name that's going to draw viewers and attention, you're often going to get jobs, And so that part of it sometimes gets hard, at least from an acting standpoint, when you know that when you see the same actor on series after failed series, and you're just like, how does this guy keep working? He's terrible, and that can get frustrating. But that is what it is. I mean, I hope at some point I become the dude that some young actor is looking at, going at, he's terrible, but he's got a name. You know what I mean? Because it's not like whoever had that name sat there and it just came to him. Whatever work they did or didn't do, man, I'm sure it was a long road, and I'm sure he sacrificed a lot for it.
Yeah, I would say so. I remember going to commercial auditions, because that's pretty much the only thing we had to go audition for as stunt performers, is commercials. Because very rarely we get any kind of dialogue at all. I mean, those parts you have to audition for as well. But just getting into those casting offices, and there's just a bunch of dudes that look very similar to you, right? All dark, and it's like, what in the world, Now, I did a couple auditions for acting parts that had a stunt in it, and there was even more people. Now, you as an actor, it's got to be even crazier, right? There's just a tremendous amount of people there that want the same job as you do.
Yeah, man. I mean, so Generation Kill, for example, I mean, from what I hear and heard at that time, there wasn't a guy in Hollywood that wanted one of those roles. It was a full male cast, so there were a lot of roles up and available. 14, 15 roles or whatever, but everybody in Hollywood at that time wanted. It was the biggest job going. One, because in 2007, HBO was still like the kingpin for original content, right? Like they had all the best programming on, and it was original content. They were killing the networks. Everybody wanted to work for HBO. So everybody wanted that job. So yeah, there were thousands of guys that wanted the job that I got. And I'll still run across guys every now and then in Hollywood at an audition. They're like, man, I remember you from Generation Kill. You're so good. I wanted that part so bad. I wanted that job so bad. But yeah, you hear that all the time. Dude, it's the most competitive industry in the world. I forget who told me this. Maybe it was Lawrence, but I don't know, maybe not. But they say the city of LA, or the town of LA, the industry of LA, turns itself over every 6 months. Have you heard this statistic?
No.
Yeah, that 3 million people move in for the industry, 3 million people move out. And that's how quickly LA will chew you up and spit you out, is about 6 months.
That is just...
Yeah, and 100%, I believe it. If whether that statistic is true or not, or skewed a little bit or not, I believe it because it will. And I always tell young actors too that have actually moved there and have sacrificed leaving family and going into something completely unknown, especially if they're a Midwest person or actually anywhere else in the country. You go to LA, man, it's just a whole different world. And I always tell young actors, that are hustling. Okay, I know you're probably struggling financially, or you're broke, or you're hurting for money. Said one of the excuse me.
That's you.
Ooh, thank you. One of the things that I think really helped me was, one, my relationship with Christ, first and foremost. I found a great church, got plugged in, and that always kept me grounded.
Now,
two,
pause on that real quick. How did you find how did you find God? How did you find your relationship with Him?
I was raised in a Christian home, thank God.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom and my dads, both of my dads for that matter, my real father and my stepfather, are both very strong Christians, and so I really don't even remember time, even during the bad times of divorce, that was ever lost. My mom, I remember always praying, blessing our meals before we ate, and saying our prayers at night, and going to church, and then when I moved to Florida at 6-7 years old, it was, I guess, considered the South, but I grew up Southern Baptist, if you want to say that, and it wasn't like hellfire brimstone type Southern Baptist, but it was Southern Baptist, and I loved it, man. I all my best friends are from my youth group still. My best friend since 8th grade, Ryan Coble. I met him at church, and he's still to this day. Like today's his 42nd birthday, by the way, and dude, we've gone through everything together. So yeah, it was my mom and my parents. My parents led me to Christ, and did a very good job of keeping me in church, and always, oh, Brian, you're having a hard time. Have you prayed about it? Let's pray about it. Always just planting those seeds, and it says in the Word, show your child the way they should go, and as they age, grow older, they won't depart. Those words won't depart from them. And that's how it was. Was I always perfect? Did I always make the right choices in LA? No, but I always had that to lean on, and I always knew no matter how close I came to an audition or how crushing that was, it was okay. And I knew that it was all in God's hands, and He had something out there for me, and whenever that was going to be great. So yeah, that was a huge, that's the only reason I stayed in LA, man, was my relationship with Christ, period, with a period, 100%. Now, to ease that, the second part of making it through years and years and years of auditioning unfruitfully and struggling, and the oppressive nature of LA, was I made it a point, no matter how broke I was, to get out of town. Because, man, you drive 30 minutes up the freeway, 45 minutes up the freeway, and it just feels like you're in another world, especially up the 5, or the 101, and you start seeing the ocean. And then, before I knew it, I was up past Malibu, and then into Santa Barbara, and then into Big Sur. And once I found Big Sur, brother, that was it. I mean, I was there all the time, because it was just a place where I could escape LA, where I could camp. So it didn't cost me anything except to drive there. And I could hike, man, and sleep under, 100-year-old redwoods by the ocean. I mean, it was really a good way for me to just hit the reset button. And I did it often. So I always encourage young actors, man, when they're like, dude, I just don't know if I can keep doing this. I'm like, well, when was the last time you've been out of town? Well, I went down to San Diego, and the gas lamp did. I'm like, no. It's not what I'm talking about, man. Like, get away from the Southern California thing, and like go up to the mountains. Like, Big Bear's 2 hours away. Yeah. I went to Mammoth a lot. Go to Mammoth, or drive an hour up the coast on the other side of Malibu, and there's plenty of tent camping spots, man, that overlook the ocean. It'll change your whole perspective, and it'll just help you calm down and remember what's important. And it's not the audition you just didn't get.
Yeah.
And before you know it, on your drive home, you won't even remember that audition, and you'll be looking forward to the next one.
Right. Yeah, good point. Because it's really beautiful, California. I mean, like you say, in a couple of hours, you can be, without traffic, you can be at what's it called? Joshua Tree. That's an amazing spot too. I mean, if you want to drive a little longer, you go up to Yosemite.
Yeah, man.
You think you're in Switzerland out there. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really has awesome spots. It's just gotten so crowded, man. The last, I mean, you've been gone from California now. How long?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not
I left in 16.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's just I feel like the last couple of years it's just gotten really crazy, and I spend an average of 4 hours in the truck every day. You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and I've been gone 4 years, but I've been back a bunch to work. So my last acting job, I did 9 episodes of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Playing.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Playing Carl the Crusher Creel. So I was an original Stan Lee creation, man. He's been in the comics for 4 decades, and I originally got that job 5 years ago, and they just brought me back a couple episodes every season. And in this season 5, I ended up doing 9 episodes. So I was out there quite a bit over the last couple years working on that, and then just coming out for other jobs and work. And so yeah, dude, I've seen the decline, and what's crazy is just how it's become so a tent city.
Mm-hmm.
How widespread now the tent cities are, and how just really nasty a lot of the city has become, and it's a shame. It really is.
Yeah, I heard a number. I heard there's like 100,000 homeless in LA right now. And in downtown where we shoot a lot on The Rookie, I realized that every time I go down there, there seems to be more tents. Like they're getting closer to the freeways, and
yeah,
it's so sad. It's so crazy. Like you get off a Gower on the 101. I mean, you think you're like,
oh yeah,
just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. And they're moving into the valley all the way up to Santa Clarita now.
Wow. That's sad, man. It's really sad.
Now, it sounds like you're always positive. You got really lucky meeting the right people. You kept your faith. What are some of your regrets, and how did you deal with them?
That's an interesting question, because I don't really feel like I have any regrets, and I know that may sound kind of cliche, and I don't mean for it to. I really don't. I really don't have any regrets. There are a few areas where I wish I would have made some different choices, and I'm not going to elaborate on those just because there's really no need to, because there are some great things that came out of some of those struggles and hardships.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I do wish I would have probably done a little longer. I wish that I probably, after Generation Kill, and I spent some time not having to spend so much time working. I wish I would have taken more of that downtime instead of just taking a breath and relaxing, I guess. I wish I would have spent more of that time in class and continuing to work while I wasn't working. I think I probably missed some opportunities because I wasn't fully prepared, because of maybe some ego, and maybe also because I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a good enough actor. To be completely honest with you. And I feel like that I missed some opportunities because I thought in my head I'd reached a certain level and I could stop. Or I didn't need to be in class anymore. I was a good actor, and I'd gotten some really big projects that a lot of people wanted. So they should come easier now.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that way for a while. And then they didn't. And I found myself going, man, I feel like I probably wasted some time there. I feel like I probably should have not just rested on those laurels and kept You know, it's like anything, man. I think it's a muscle, right? If you quit training it, you lose the strength. And in this case, from an acting standpoint, if you're not working that muscle, if you're not going through scenes and scripts and breaking them down beat by beat and creating a character and just going through the exercises of what makes a good actor an actor, you lose the ability to do it quick and for it to be natural. And or not lose it, I guess. It just isn't as strong if you're not always practicing it, right? You know, it's just like stretching. You know, if you quit stretching, you know, you're not going to be able to do a backflip or whatever, you know, a high kick or whatever it is that you do because you haven't been keeping those muscles trained and limber. And so I guess if I did have something I wish I could go back and change a little bit, that would probably be it.
You mentioned ego. Was that something that you ever felt like you're struggling with at all while you're got bigger parts and, you know, better projects?
No, not during work, because I mean, even though I got big projects, there was always someone bigger on set than me.
Yeah, right.
Always, right? So I was never, you know, I wasn't Kevin Costner, and on Generation Kill, I wasn't Alexander Skarsgård. You know, like all those guys were people that I was like, wow, man, like, I got to keep working because that's the part, like that's the gig. And so no, it was, on set, man, I always felt like I just won the lottery. Right. Every job I've ever gotten, man, I always felt so lucky and humbled and blessed that I every morning I woke up and went to set, man, I just couldn't believe I was there.
You mentioned Kevin. I got to plug in my computer. I realized I didn't plug it in, and I'm getting low on the battery here. Kevin Costner, the beginning on The Guardian. Although I doubled Ashton, and technically I should spend more time with him, right? I ended up always talking to Kevin because he's so much fun to talk to, and he's so humble. I remember one evening we were after the fight scene. We were on set, leaning against a bar and just chatting and just talking and so long that all of a sudden we were in the dark room. They turned all the lights off, and he was just such a cool dude to talk to.
Dude, he's amazing. You know, it's funny. People ask me often, you know, oh man, yeah, you did. That's right, you did The Guardian. How was Ashton? And I get that all the time. And I look at him and I always go, Ashton, he's okay, but Kevin, because my experience on that set and a lot of our experiences as the lesser known actors, Ashton had the ego that you thought Kevin would have had.
Right.
And I'll never forget it, man. One night, well, for two of my coolest experiences ever came out of the shooting of that film. One was Ashton, you know, Demi was always on set, right? She was there with Ashton, and her and Ashton rented out a pool hall. I think it was the same one we actually shot some of the stuff at, but they rented out a pool hall and closed it down for just the cast and crew for a full night. And everyone talked to Demi the whole night. And it's not because she was Demi Moore or hot, it was because she was just so cool and so down to earth and so just laid back. And I mean, it was hard to get 2 words in edgewise with Ashton. And it was cool from my perspective because my character was kind of his antagonist anyway. So even in real life, when we were out shooting pool, I was always talking crap to him. Like, just like, whatever, you know, I'm just going to keep like elbowing you, see if I can get you to talk at least some way. And so Demi was really cool, and that spoke volumes, man. Like, you can be a bona fide celebrity and still be a solid individual. And then Kevin, I mean, like you just said, Kevin was amazing. And he never had ups and downs. Like, he was awesome through the whole thing, at least for the time that I was there. And one of the coolest things I've ever got to experience still to this day in my life, we had just finished up boot camp. So we had that week of boot camp prior to shooting, right? And I was exhausted. I was beat up. So were the other actors. And it was right before Thanksgiving that year. and production had scheduled our flights to leave like 2 days after boot camp ended. So we were all just going to be hanging out in Louisiana. And Ashton came up to me. Oh shoot, I'm brain farting on his name now. I'll think of it. And three of the other actors that were there. I think what happened was production staggered flights leaving. So some of the cast was leaving the next day, and some of us got flights that were out 2 days later. So anyways, those of us that were leaving a couple days later, Kevin came up to all of us, the 3 or 4 of us, and said, "Hey guys, look, I know production kind of messed your flights up, and I'm sure you would like to get back to spend time with your family for Thanksgiving. So you guys are all going to come home with me on his jet."
No way.
So it was me and the 3 or 4 other actors, Demi Moore, Ashton Kutcher, and Ron Brinkerhoff, the writer. We're all on Kevin's G4, flying back to LA from Louisiana. And not only that, he also made arrangements for all of our limos to be there waiting for us. So we didn't have to wait around, or he didn't just get a van for us to all be shuttled off. Like we all had, like production would have done it. And it's just like, dude, it sticks out in my mind so much. Like he didn't have to do that.
No.
You know,
he like that. It's just so awesome. Just
yeah.
You know, it was like that too is Jim Caviezel. You know, I've been doubling him, and I just talked to him last night. He's such a jewel, just a down-to-earth guy.
That is one of my favorite actors on the planet.
Is he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've met him a couple of times, man, but I've always wanted to work with him too. I mean, just after his work on The Passion of the Christ, I just, dude. And then one of actually my first films I fell in love with him in was with Jennifer Lopez. I forget the name of it now, but he plays the character in that film so well. And anyways, yeah, he seems like it. The couple of times I've met him, he's been lovely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's been so good, man. What about some future goals? What do you got lined up? What do you want? What haven't you done yet?
Yeah, so man, you know, I think for me now at this point, what I want to do, at least from the business standpoint, is keep what I have going now, and turn that into or just keep going down the road we're going. We're doing really well, and I want to grow that, make it big. But I also still have, you know, a short list of directors and actors that I would love to work with. And I'm not going anywhere, man, even though I'm in Charlotte a lot of the time. And COVID has slowed things down to a screeching halt. Dude, as soon as the gas pedal gets pushed on the industry, I'm all in, man. I always want to work. I definitely have a goal again of getting another lead in a pilot and doing a TV series. I'm actually I'm not going to mention any studios at this moment, just because I can't. I don't want to put it out there yet. But I am working on a mini series.
Okay, cool.
And it's at a very reputable company right now. And I actually my showrunner and head writer for the pilot, the outline and the pitch is one of the head writers from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I hired him to do the outline and the pilot and the pitch. He'll be my showrunner. His name is Craig Titley. He ended up writing the majority of my episodes on S.H.I.E.L.D., so him and I became good buddies. And he's taken this new project of mine on that I'm part creator of, part owner of. And dude, the pilot, the outline is done. 22-page outline, which I'll send you, by the way, man, because I'd love for you to read it.
I'd love to.
And the pilot will be done by the end of next week, and then we go into our pitch meeting.
No way.
Yeah.
What do you mean the pilot will be done by the end of next week? You guys?
Well, written.
Already? Oh, written. Okay.
Written, yeah. The pilot. So the outline's done. Pilot will be done, and the pitch.
Okay.
For our pitch meeting with this studio.
Understand. Got it.
Yeah.
Please send it along. I'd love to see it.
Oh, I will, bro. It's epic. It's actually based on a book that a friend of mine who's the direct descendant of this Revolutionary War hero, Peter Francisco, it's called Luso. And it's based on this novel. So it's a true story.
Okay.
So, yeah, of a Revolutionary War hero that there's actually a little bit more than half a dozen monuments up and down the East Coast for the heroics of this, of Peter Francisco and the Revolutionary War. If it weren't for him, we could quite possibly be living under a British flag. So it's a cool story.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are some of the actors and directors that you want to work with that you haven't yet?
Yeah, man. So like the GOAT director for me, which I pray to God I'm gonna get the opportunity, but I don't know, is Clint Eastwood. I mean, to work with that guy, I've had several buddies who've had the opportunity, and they can't say enough wonderful things about him in how he works, but also just how he loves actors and gives them all the creative space that they need to really make his films what they are. You know, they're epic, great films, and so to be able to work with Clint Eastwood would be a freaking dream in any capacity. And then Mel Gibson is probably another one. I know that he's not the most popular individual out there right now, but I like what he's done. I feel like nobody's perfect, but he deserves a second chance. And anyways, he's always been a director that I've really enjoyed. So as far as actors go, there's no one actor out there, I think, that is like, man, I gotta work with him. There's so many actors out there that I really love and respect, and I think are just phenomenal actors, and a lot of whom I've gotten to work with. So I feel very fortunate in that. There's too many out there, man, that I think are just wonderful actors that for me to even pinpoint even 5 or 6 is not enough. There's too many of them out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You just made me think of Burt Reynolds because you mentioned Clint Eastwood, and I was lucky enough to be friends with Burt for the last 7 years of his life, and God, the stories those guys had is unbelievable. I remember they were both on Gunsmoke, right, on Universal, and they both got fired at the same time, and they walked out to their car, they walked out of the gate, and Burt, because Burt was fired because they told him he can't act, and they fired Clint Eastwood apparently because his Adam's apple was too big, right? It just on the way to the car, Burt looked over to Clint and says, "Well, I can always learn how to act. What are you gonna do?"
That's great. Yeah, I can imagine, man, the stories that they have to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. What how you doing with this whole COVID thing, man?
I'm good, bro. I mean, you know, I feel like I'm probably I'll get slammed a lot for this saying this, but dude, I mean, I've only worn a mask when I've been made to, and it's just something that I've absolutely had to do. Yeah. I mean, my whole degree is in this stuff, and even though I'm not an expert, I believe it's a big stunt. And I yes, are people getting sick? Absolutely. Are people having a hard time with it? Absolutely. And I feel terrible about that, for sure. And if you have underlying conditions that are going to predispose you to this virus and have a hard time with it, by all means, wear a mask, protect yourself, for sure. I'm not advocating to not wear a mask. All I'm saying is that I believe that mainstream media has blown this way out of proportion to justify their own means for what they're trying to do to our country right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's a travesty, man, that states are even considering shutting down economies again, especially the state of California. It's insane that you can tell people that they can protest and riot, but you can't go to church. Those kinds of things, man, are just, they don't make sense in my head. I don't know how they make sense to anybody. You know, and not to get too political on your podcast, because I know that's not what it's about, but you know, you see things happening in Chicago and New York and de Blasio and Lightfoot, and you see all of these things happening, and it's mind-boggling to me how this makes sense to anybody. Mm-hmm. And the only way that I can make it make sense in my head is to go, okay, there's something bigger, there's something else happening for them to want to create this.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm doing with the whole COVID thing, man. I gotta really check myself on my irritation level with people and just make sure that I kind of, you know, keep my distance. And luckily I haven't been mask shamed yet. But I feel like that's probably imminent. I don't know, maybe it's not. I walk around in a tank top a lot. so maybe it won't be, but I don't know, dude. It's just my whole thing is, you know, I see all these videos now, people like, you know, just unleashing on people not wearing a mask that they don't know, just innocent bystanders, just they walk by and they just start raging at them. And my whole thought is, dude, does your mask work? Am I 6 feet from you? What's the problem? I can understand if your mask doesn't work, I get it, but you obviously think that your mask works, and I'm more than 6 feet from you, so. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if you know Peachtree City here where we live, but it's the second largest golf cart community, right? So a lot of people commute on golf carts to grocery stores and the gym or whatever you do. And yesterday, Geneva, my daughter and I, we drove on a golf cart path, which is over 100 miles of around this town. And there was a couple ladies 200 feet away from us walking towards us. So we're driving towards them. One of them is wearing a mask. And the other one, as we approach, quickly is putting on the mask for us to drive by. And my daughter's just looking back. It's like, holy crap, did that just happen? You know, it's just.
Meanwhile, where you are is also probably 100 degrees and the wind's probably blowing a little bit. So there's zero chance of her catching anything, much less COVID.
Yep. And then we went to the airport to pick up some friends, and it was big signs on the entrance. Does it say required? Yeah, I think it says masks required.
Yeah.
And we didn't bring any masks, and we're not wearing any masks. We're walking around there, and you were mentioning mask shaming. It's hard to see emotions or reactions when people are, you know, have their faces covered, but you definitely feel that you're not wearing one, you know? Like,
the outsider, man, it's weird. It's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah, it is totally weird.
Yeah, because I don't wear one. Even, you know, here in North Carolina, there's a mandate by the governor, but the sheriff has actually come out and said, and a lot of business have this posted, that he's not going to enforce the mask law because he feels like it's an infringement on our Constitution and the rights and the kind, which it is. He's 100% correct. So I just don't wear one. And yeah, you're the odd man out, and it's a weird feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the whole COVID thing, man, is rough. And I hope that, you know, whatever does happen, I just hope that people are allowed to get back to one, church, and two, go back to work and provide for their families. Even actors and on the other side of the camera, like you are, that have been working forever and have a lot of money or have made a lot of money, they're starting to get nervous because you can only go without an income for so long before whatever you had in reserve just starts to run out or run thin. And man, we're getting to a point where a lot of people, even in our industry, are just, they're not going to do well. So.
Yeah, no, I had a few friends that had to go out and get a job just to you know, make a living because I mean, obviously you never want to live above your means and, you know, want to save some money, but people do accumulate a certain lifestyle and overhead expenses, and when the money stops coming in, you know, and you still have $5,000 or whatever $1,000 you have to, you know, put out every month, it's going to get tough.
Quick. Yeah, it goes quick, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Any last words of wisdom from Brian?
Yeah, I think something always great to remember is personally for me, keep God first, focus on the positive things in life, and just keep marching forward. No matter what the circumstances or what life may throw at you, focus on the positives. Keep your eyes on the Lord and keep moving forward.
And another thing, you know, something that this podcast is basically based on is what kind of advice would you give someone that is stuck in a cubicle, you know, and makes whatever they make every week or every month, and have that security blanket of knowing that all their expenses are going to be covered. You know, maybe they have insurance through the company so that their loved ones or family is taken care of, but they really are not happy with what they do. And they have, you know, they do want to have a motorcycle shop like you do or whatever, and they have the talent. Gosh, I know so many people that are just full of knowledge and full of talent, but they're just stuck in that fear.
Yeah.
You know, with following their passion because the unknown, I guess, right?
Well, you said it, man. Fear is a powerful motivator, good or bad. And that is what it boils down to, is fear. And what I have to say to that is, one, you're not alone. 83% of Americans can't wait for the weekend because they just can't stand what they're doing Monday through Friday. Right. And you can look, there's so many people that look back at the end of their life and go, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have done that. I spent all of my life trying to avoid pain or painful situations, and painful stuff still happened to me.
Right.
Painful situations still came my way. And yeah, your bills may be covered, or you may be providing insurance for your loved ones. And man, I can't imagine I can. I mean, because there's definitely, I got to make a certain amount to keep insurance for my family. So I know the pressure that comes with. I have a 20-month-old that I now am responsible for. So I understand the weight of that. But I think if you can look past, start envisioning more of what your life would look like if you were doing what it is you absolutely love to do. Start envisioning and focusing on that instead of, man, what am I going to do if that doesn't work out? Flip the perspective. Start daydreaming in a positive light, because that'll force action. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. And there's going to be bumps in the road for sure. But pain's inevitable. Doesn't matter if you try and play it safe or not. It's always going to come in some form or fashion. You might as well get the pain on your own terms and learn how to deal with it. Because man, at the other side of that, even in the painful situations that you created, you look back and you go, I did that on my terms. I figured it out and I got past it. Look what I'm doing now. And I think it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you know Jim Rohn? Have you ever heard of his name?
No.
You haven't? Because the things you just said, he was a motivational speaker. He passed away now, but a lot of similarities, you know. You gotta visualize yourself already being there.
Yeah, yeah.
You do that, then you can see what, almost like the Nicolas Cage movie you described, but you can see what it would be like.
Yeah.
Feel
focus on that. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think what happens is people see it's unknown, right? The future is unknown. Well, the future, all the future is a monster looking to scare you. If you can look at the future as something different than that monster, the unknown is something different that's going to get you, and you look at the future as something positive that's beckoning you to it and calling you to it, it changes the whole way you think about what you're doing. And then it motivates you and encourages you. Fear is just a monster looking to steer your joy, not just for today, but for the future. That's all fear is. And it's putting a down payment on a problem that you may never have.
That's brilliant.
You know, it really is. you can think about all the bad things that may happen, and they may, some of them may, but man, some of them may not. And you spent all this time worrying and fretting over them, and it kept you in this box. When if you could just look into a crystal ball, which you can't, you'd see that they would never come to pass. So I know it's hard though. I know it's hard, but it's all about the perspective and the future of that perspective. With that perspective, how it may look if things actually do work out the way you hope. Mm-hmm. Focus on that.
Yeah, but you said something else that was great was, you know, we're all going to be old at one point, and then you look back at your life and it's like, I wish I would have, right?
Yeah.
One of my biggest fears always was like, holy crap. Because, I mean, time flies, right? Time flies. And
flies.
What if, you know, people say, well, what if you fail? Well, it's like, well, what if I don't try, right? I mean, if I don't try, I already failed.
Yeah.
Basically, and a gentleman told me this years ago in the sales business. He says, you know, all you can get is a yes, because if you don't ask, you already have a no. Right?
Yeah, man. So, you know, all those cliches, dude, all those little quips, they're all true. And that's why they've turned into cliches, because they are all so true. If you don't try, you've already struck out, right? I mean, if you don't pick up the bat, you can't hit a home run.
Right.
You know, if you don't get off the bench, you can't hit the game-winning shot. It's just, that's it, dude. But I think the bigger failure in that is not ever trying. Because at the end of the day, they say you try and you fail. There's always a security blanket. There's always something you can turn back to. So if it doesn't work out and it's not your bag, you can't handle the stress or whatever, then you got whatever you were doing. But man, what could you have had you not let that stop?
Well, and you're such a great example of that, because, you know, like you had no money, $200 in a tiny little car, you're 6.5 feet tall, and you eat peanut butter sandwiches, you know, and you still made it because not only did you believe in yourself, but also you worked really hard, and you know, you cannot give up. And bottom line.
That's right. Bottom line. Absolutely right, bro.
Into work and don't give up.
Yeah. You're right, man.
Dude, it's been so great.
Bro, are you kidding? I'm so glad we did this, man. If things start to progress, and you're running, have me on again. I'll come back and chat with you anytime.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk with you, bro, and to be a guest on your podcast, man. I feel humbled and honored to be on. Thank you.
Dude, absolutely. Now, I'll see you soon. All right?
Yeah.
You send me some videos and pictures I can put into this video, so we'll make it nice and fun.
Okay, I will, bro.
Maybe drop.
Hey, give your daughter my love, and man, I'm just, every time you post a video of her driving, I'm just thoroughly impressed. Done a good job.
Thank you. She has a good mom too. You know, it took a long time for Mom and I to become friends again, but we're good friends, and we're good co-parenters, and we live, 4 minutes apart. And
good.
Yeah, it's important, man. It's important for the kids to know. I mean, if you can manage, of course, sometimes it's not possible, but to be, mom and dad, it's super important.
100%.
And I mean, my marriage failed too, so I sometimes wish I could be a better example in that aspect, to Geneva. But we do better day by day, right?
Yeah, man. I'd say you're doing good, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and you guys are both in my prayers, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Same family. I'm so happy to see, after all the crap you had to go through, that you have such a wonderful wife now and beautiful little girl, and
yeah,
you definitely deserve it. I mean, if anyone does, it's you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank God I met you.
Yeah, I do as well, man. I do as well. All right, bro. Hey, enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Okay, pal. You do the same. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks. Bye.